Hey guys, I'm back again. One of you guys, Helen asked for some help with choosing watercolor paper. So that's what this quick little video is going to be about. Sorry, it's hard for me to adjust this. So I know you guys probably really know a lot about watercolor paper already. Some of the basic things. The main three weights that watercolor paper comes in is 90 pound, 140 pound, and 300 pound. 90 pound is really more, it's not really for too much wetness. It's more for sketching. And 140 pound is the most probably typical weight because it really won't buckle and curl with adding water to it. And 300 pound is very heavy, almost feels like it's stiffer, feels like a board. I'm going to show you some of these things. So there's the weight of the watercolor paper, and it's always clearly identified, and I'm going to show you that. And then there's also the smoothness or roughness of the paper. If it's cold press, it comes in cold press and hot press. And hot press, just think of it like an iron pressed it down nice and flat and smooth. It's smooth. Cold press is not. It's just a little bit bumpily, ripply, and that basically helps capture the pigment from the watercolor. The other thing is that watercolor paper, it's made in a certain size sheet that's called a full sheet. I believe it's 22 by 30. And sometimes it's sold in half sheets, quarter sheets. And you can Google what are the specific sizes, watercolor half sheet, watercolor quarter sheet. I forget what they are. It's 22 by 30 divided in half, so I guess it would be 15 by, well, 20, maybe it's 11 by, okay, 11 by 15 would be a quarter sheet. And the 22 by 30 cut in half, I don't know which way it gets cut. It could be 11 by 30, or would it be 15 by 22? I don't know. Depends on which way they cut it. So anyway, there's full sheets, half sheets, quarter sheets. You can buy a full sheet, cut it down yourself. Watercolor paper also comes in pads, spiral bound pads, gummed pads, and even they put like a wax around the outer edge so that it's called a block of watercolor paper. And you can literally use a butter knife to cut the wax off and lift off the top sheet after you've painted it. The nice thing about the block is that you don't have to tape it down. Why would you care about taping it down? Well, sometimes if you tape the edge of a sheet of watercolor paper, it leaves the white and it makes a nice automatic frame. That's all. Okay, so let me show you some things. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention, I don't know if I mentioned it, you can buy a watercolor journal. You can buy journals. They put paper and bind it into a journal, a book. So let me grab some of those. I have a bunch of those my husband got me. And I mean, I know, Helen, you're looking for a specific answer on what to tell your husband, like what's at the typical craft store. I would say what I like, because it's cheap and I feel comfortable using it, is I like the pads of Canson Excel watercolor paper. So let me grab one of those. And I usually get these at Michael's, but they're at Hobby Lobby and you can buy them online, I'm pretty sure. So this is you know, it's a pad. It has a gum glue on the top here, and you pull the sheets off. And it is 11 by 15, so I guess that's a quarter sheet. There's 30 sheets in here, and this was probably, oh, I don't remember. I don't know. God, I really don't remember. 13 bucks. So it's really your most affordable option. It's not the greatest paper. The other really huge factor about watercolor paper, quality watercolor paper, is whether or not it has cotton in it. This does not have cotton in it. I don't know what it's made from, but it may have a small amount of cotton, but it's not a high-end watercolor paper. I like that, actually. I'm a lot more comfortable painting on it. Some people don't like it. I don't think Lisa would mind me speaking for her. She loves Arches. A lot of people have said that Arches isn't the quality that it was 10, 20 years ago, and I agree, it's not. But it is cotton. It is a beautiful paper. It's a little bit rough, and the paint kind of sits on top, and then it sinks down in and stays, you know, depending on the pigment. Some pigments lift if they're staining. They're not going to lift as easily. So anyway, this would probably be a really good bet if you're looking for Christmas wish list. I would ask for this for sure, because it's 30 sheets and you can do rough color studies. You can put gesso on this and paint with acrylic on it. You can paint with anything on this, okay? But if you really, also, since you're really good with gouache, Helen, I would also suggest a mixed media pad for you. You know, there's not just watercolor paper, there's also mixed media paper. So let me, oh, I thought I had a pad of that here. Mixed media paper, hold on. So here's a pad of mixed media paper by Strathmore. And this is basically, so it's smoother. It says vellum surface. Vellum means smooth. It's heavy. It's 140-pound paper. And it is really good paper. I really love it. It's the same thing. You just peel a sheet off and you can start painting on it. You might want to tape this down onto a board and use, like, you could use blue painter's tape. Sometimes it sticks too much and it'll pull the surface of the paper off. I take the tape and lay it on my sleeve so that it picks up some of the lint from my sleeve, and then it's not quite so sticky and it won't damage your paper when you go to pull it off the board. I buy boards to paint on. I have these birch painting panels, or any board will do, that I tape my watercolor paper down onto, or my mixed media paper down onto. All right, so those are my most loved and inexpensive papers. There's also, here's Cotman. This is a decent paper. Cotman paper. This one is a 200-pound paper, but it's 12 by 16, 10 sheets. So this is a really nice size, a 12 by 16. And this is pretty nice paper. Here's Strathmore's watercolor paper. I don't love this. It's a lot like this Canson paper, Canson Excel watercolor paper, but it's a lot more money, you know. But if you're in a pinch, it's a decent paper. Here are some pads. I've got sketchbooks like this, and this is by Stillman & Byrne. They're a really well-known paper company. I don't know if they're British or what, but they offer a cold press in a natural white. It's 180 pounds. So that's interesting. And it's pretty nice paper. It's nice and thick, and it's in this would be a hardbound journal or sketchbook. If you don't like hardbound like that, some people don't like that. Some people prefer spiral bound. You can get watercolor paper like this. This is actually a nice size. I like it. This is the Cachet Classic. Aquafine Paper, England. This is by Daler Rowney, and you can tape this and paint on this. This is 140-pound watercolor paper. It's a little bumpy. It's not my favorite, but it's a nice portable size. Showed you the natural white, 180 pound. I got a couple of those. Here's a nice one. This isn't even open yet. Again, this is the Cachet, Daler Rowney Cachet. Sometimes they have deals where they give you brushes or even a paint set with them. There was one that had this paint set in there. My husband found these online several years ago on Amazon, I'm pretty sure. Well, maybe not on Amazon. Maybe he just found it on a website. Here's the extra heavyweight paper by Stillman & Byrne, Natural White Smooth. This one is smooth. And the advantage with smooth watercolor paper is that it doesn't have the bumpy effect. A lot of watercolorists photograph their artwork. Who do I have with me? Somebody's here. Hello. Scan it or photograph their artwork, and when you have smooth paper, it won't pick up any bumps at all. It's much more easy to photograph and then edit in Photoshop and make prints. A lot of watercolorists wind up selling their work in the form of a print because you know, you don't have to repaint it every time, and the original maybe they want to keep for themselves, or sometimes, depending on what paints you've used, the original might degrade over time. So anyway, there's that whole thing. I think these are all the same. These are Daler Rowney. So there's different sizes. There's wire-bound journals. There's hard-bound journals. Okay, this was from Hobby Lobby. They don't always have this, but this is another brand. I think this is French, La Aquarelle. Canson, I'm not sure, but this one is hot pressed. It says right there, hot pressed. So there's so many details to purchasing watercolor paper that, to be honest, maybe you as the artist ought to purchase it yourself. I'm just saying. It might be better. Here is a package of a full sheet. This is what it looks like. This was from Dick Blick. If you go to Dick Blick, now that's one of my favorite art stores, they've got huge drawers of paper like this. This was a multi-pack, a 3-sheet special, and I don't know if they still have this, but I bought this when I was there. It's Arches Bright White, 300 pound. This was probably pretty expensive. I don't remember how much. You can buy single sheets. You want to be careful not to get it all fingerprinted on the way home. They sell, I think they sell full sheets this size at Hobby Lobby near the mats, near the framing area. But you want to be careful that it's not marked or dinged or fingerprinted. It's probably $7, $8, $9 a sheet for one sheet. I don't know that you're going to want to buy a sheet like that, because then you need to cut it down. And in order to cut it down, you can cut it with you need a metal edge and a knife, or if you want to get that nice deckled edge, they call it a deckled edge, you would want to tear it. So here's an example of a deckled edge. It's not, now this is a natural deckled edge. This is deckled all the way around all 4 sides. This sheet, this is a quarter sheet, 300-pound watercolor paper. It's probably Arches, and I bought it like this. A lot of times there's an imprint on there for you to see what brand it is. This just has a number, 225 or 995. I'm not sure which. But the deckled edge is very, very nice if that's going to show in your work. You can buy it like this, or you can get close to getting a deckled edge by literally pulling it against, you know, lay it down on a table, put a nice straight piece of metal like a T-square, and then pull it. You got to be very careful to get this deckled edge. I also have a half sheet in here, but I don't think I need to show you that. I think you get the idea. I keep these in the bag that I got them from. at Dick Blick, and I keep them on a shelf unit. I don't have a flat file. They're too expensive. They're like $1,000. So I think that's it. I think that's the main information about watercolor paper. There's one other brand that's really become very popular. Hold on. I think I do have some. Maybe not. Oh, here it is. So here's a couple more things. So this is what Arches looks like in a 9x12 pad. And I don't remember where I got this from, but this is the cold press 140 pound. They have different colors on here depending on what type it is. This is, cold pressed 140 pound. The other one that's really good, a lot of people really love this more than Arches, is Legion, Legion paper, Stonehenge. And there's different, you can look on the back. These people also make the Yupo papers, but there's so many different kinds that they make. They make hot press, cold press, Stonehenge cold press heavy, Stonehenge white, Stonehenge light, craft colors, Linox cotton, I don't know what that is. And then they've got Yupo in translucent, medium, and heavy. So Legion is the company, and they are this is a very, very good paper. This is one that you should try also. You can get this at, I think you can get this online through Amazon, and of course at all the major art supply stores. I don't think they have this at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. So that's it. I think that's now if any of you have any other suggestions or brands of watercolor paper that you would like to share, please share that here. I think that's it. I hope I helped. And then, there's Yupo paper is a plastic paper. Basically, it's like, it's very different. It's almost like your watercolor kind of beads up on there. It's just very different. It's not porous like watercolor paper. It's very, very different. But I think that's it. I think that's all I have about watercolor paper. So if you guys want to add anything, please comment below. All right, take care. Bye.